This is Los Angeles.
And you are now listening to Activate LA Radio.
I was telling Ray about your show called Let the Street Speak.
Oh, yeah. That, yeah, I just kind of like, one of my buddies wanted me to do that. And I actually didn't, all this, I haven't DJed this much since I was like 15 years old. I've been, more on the admin side, and the business side. And just since the whole pandemic, since nightlife has, pretty much
died on us,
since everything's been shut down, I've kind of found another love for music and whatnot. And one of my childhood buddies, he wanted to do sort of a podcast and give people an outlet. And that's how Let the Street Speak came about. And we actually have that later on tonight.
That is so cool.
All right, you can start it now.
Okay, so we're going to start the interview. So go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
So could you hear me right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, right?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, you're perfect.
So my introduction, my name is Thomas Mayfield, PKA, professionally known as DJ Gargamel. I grew up in, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, Watts and Southgate, Linwood area, and I actually migrated towards like the southeast, like Norwalk, and I actually have a studio right now in Whittier, California, and where I'm currently doing this interview from. And I've actually been involved. Throughout that time, it's kind of been close to somewhat like a 30-year journey. Here in Los Angeles and throughout the United States or whatnot, and abroad. So, yeah, I don't know. Just go ahead and start the interview and just ask whatever you want to ask.
Alrighty.
It's been a crazy ride.
Yes, it has. Fun. Definitely. I know that before the pandemic, a lot of old school DJs like yourself were complaining about the new DJs that weren't using vinyl, that were only using their laptops. Now with the pandemic, is there a different issue that you guys see when it comes to DJing, or is it still pretty much the same?
I mean, me, myself, I never necessarily complain. I think there was a certain, like around 2005, a certain time when I used to work for a company called Bestex, around 2000 and 2000. I was on that side. I was on the manufacturing side, and so I knew how evolution went with technology or whatnot, and I knew where the wave was going. So I wasn't shell shocked with it. So when it finally hit, I have close to like 30,000 records. I just kind of was like, all right, this is going to be a novelty. But I was still DJing. Me and a lot of my buddies were still DJing, but everything was getting phased out. So it just opened up the doors, and DJing just became bigger because it gave the chance, for the everyday kid to become a DJ. Because when I was a kid, it basically, you could say you were a DJ, but if you didn't have the records, or if you didn't have the equipment, basically, like it took like a whole, pretty much like all your high school friends, or junior high friends, or all the kids in the neighborhood, just to pretty much piece up one DJ system, or if somebody's dad was lucky enough to have a DJ system or whatever, because things were just so expensive back then. Now, we're in an era now where, you could just pretty much DJ off of your laptop, and you can have, a whole collection and things like that. So it just made things a lot more accessible.
That's true. And
I just think.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I just said, I just think it made things, a lot more accessible, and DJs became the new rock stars. You had
That's
DJs. True. Once that happened, you had people from Tiesto to Calvin Harris and all these people making, 60, 70, 80 million dollars a year. And I mean, when I first started, you barely had DJs, that were just doing it for the love. And you had some DJs making some decent money, but nobody was at that point where they were making millions of dollars yet.
That's true.
I see the records back there. That's pretty sick. Yeah. I have a question.
Thank you, brother.
So speaking of records, what was your first record that you bought? And I'll say 2 questions. And which one was the first record that you got to drop for the first time ever as a DJ?
I think the first record that I actually bought was a Todd Terry record. It was called Samba. Right there at Yuri's Records, right there at Southgate.
Oh shit! I still got my T-shirt by Yuri's Records.
Oh, so you're familiar then?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yuri's right there. So you're familiar. Okay, and during that time, I was DJing a lot of like ditching parties, and I remember during that time there was a little school dance called Teen Town, and I remember I was lucky enough to get to DJ those school dances, and I remember playing records like Pancake and all those records like of that time. And it was, man, that was just the feeling of just seeing all the kids, just, all your peers, not necessarily kids, but your peers at that time, like when the doors would open, all the girls, the kids just running in to come and dance and things like that. Like, that's what the feeling was about. Like I remember just, playing those records, and, because there was a line to even, come in before everything was set up. And I still remember, like, I remember meeting one of my cousins at one of those little school dances for the first time. And, we still talk about it to this day. You'd be like, man, I remember meeting you DJing at Teen Town right there at Southgate Park.
Cool.
So, I mean, DJing really like gave me a lot of opportunities and that I necessarily wouldn't have had just living where I grew up at that time, so yeah.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to start DJing?
What advice? I would say find yourself a mentor, and first off, find yourself a mentor, and just listen to every style of music, and just don't necessarily be one, don't be one track minded with things, so
that's cool. Any other questions you have, right?
Also, man, so I mean, you brought me back in time. I think Samba, I mean, I'm not a good singer and I can't hum it, but I think it was like limba zimba limba zaya
yeah,
right, that's a classic. Correct me if I'm wrong. That probably had to be like around 1992, 93.
Yeah, it's about 92, because I was about 11 during that time.
Damn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so here goes my question. So you've seen different eras, different scenes, and a lot of people they say the 80s was better, 90s was better, 2000s was better. To you what was not better, but to you which era did you enjoy the most, or do you feel that showed more love towards the dance, towards the DJ, and towards the music at the time?
Wow, I mean, different eras have their personalities and their different peaks. I mean, during that 92, 93 era, you definitely had a lot of groundbreaking times and whatnot, because there was a lot of energy during that time, because you had like the LA riots that were going on. You had a lot of graffiti that was happening. You had a lot of style. You had a lot of streetwear. So if you were in LA during that time, you seen a lot of groundbreaking styles, which concreted what's happening today. Like, there wouldn't be Electric Daisy Carnival. There wouldn't be hard. I mean, when I remember going to K-Rave when I was a kid, my mom took me and my cousin, my mom and my dad, they took me and my cousin, my mom, and My buddies, they Orlando, Flashback, and all those guys, they DJed that thing. And that was like, that was one of the craziest, that I would say probably top 5 parties I went to in my life, as a kid. Just, that made me really believe in that shit, and I remember seeing Kioki play there, and talking about, like, speaking of like superstar DJs getting paid millions and millions of dollars. I think he was somebody else who kind of like pioneered that as well.
Yeah.
And just seeing that, and just all these thousands of people at once, that made me kind of believe in this DJ stuff. And then the next wave after that, you have like 94, when things really started to get underground, and the sound evolved from just house and techno into like jungle music and trance, and things got a little deeper. And then other things got like a little more left, not necessarily left, but more commercialized.
Yeah.
So you had like a little more like hard house and things like that. So, so you had things like the arena going off, and like the dome and things like that. And then you had like, you definitely had the underground side. Like you had like Does Your Mama Know with that deep house scene.
Yeah.
And then you had like Doc Martin with Flammable Liquid and all those guys like that, and Dream and all those types of parties. And I think things just got deeper as far as like the underground scene, and you had those Moon Tribe parties, and I think that's probably when LA started to really say build its reputation for its electronic scene, because that's when you saw people like Pasquale come out with Insomniac around like 93, 94. And, now he pretty much has a multi, not even multi, but $100 million business because of that, and I mean, I remember going to those parties when there was only a couple of hundred people, if that, I remember going to parties at the Pico Rivera Sports Arena. I remember, even going to parties with Reza and all those guys before they were Go Ventures. I remember when Herrick Hell was handling all that stuff. So those guys were out of pretty much like Downey and Southgate, and they were competitors. They were going neck and neck with Insomniac at one time, but just going back to the K-Rave thing, Destructo was one of the guys who threw that, and now he's throwing hard. That was his production, so yeah.
Dope.
I mean,
here I'm showing everybody we got in the house. We got DJ Gargamel, man, sharing a lot of good history, man. I mean, you took me back, a lot of good parties. I mean, it was a big transition, like you said. I mean, you had the man. I mean, not only the techno, then before that, you had the acid house, and I don't want to mention them because I know you're very
disco.
You're very ranged and all that, so it's gonna be it's a show that I want to continue, but I don't want to interrupt Carla.
Okay.
Chromaticdj.com. I see it right now on your Instagram, and for the people that are watching the screen, we got DJ Gargamel's Instagram page. Do me a favor, head on over, hit that follow button, and chromaticdj.com. I see that they sell slip mats. Tell us a little bit about it.
Chromatic is actually a project that me and some of my friends started. It was just out of I guess necessity at that time. It's pretty much a passion project. I used to work for a company called Vestex around 2000 or whatnot, and this is kind of before all the 45 boom came about, and I had some partners that were involved in the graffiti scene and whatnot, and they wanted to produce some slip mats, to sponsor me for some slip mats, but the company didn't want to go ahead with it, and I was pretty much like, yo, man, we could just do it ourselves and shit. So me kind of at that point being being a businessman, I was just like, let's just do it, DTC, direct to consumer, and we don't necessarily have to worry about putting them in stores or whatnot. Just have this be a boutique product, and just keep this as as say as a luxury item, and not necessarily say a bargain bin item or whatnot. So that's kind of like where Chromatic is. I just want to have say a high grade brands attached to my name or whatnot. So that's kind of what Chromatic is right now. So, but it's going to expand it to just to DJ accessories or whatnot. It's a slow roast.
That's cool. Well, I just want to say thank you again for being on with us. I know I've been trying to get you to give me a podcast for a while. It finally happened. So
not a problem.
Thank you. So right before we go, because our time is a little bit limited right now, but
not a problem. My apologies too.
Oh no, it's fine. We definitely have to do a part 2, right?
Yeah, let's do it, because honestly, I want to dig your brain a little bit more. I mean, if I ever wish the time machine, I got it here with you right now. You take me back. And I want to do that time travel back once again and talk about music, and also to the parties back in the days, because LA, I think the 90s, the 90s is in LA. That's a hidden scene that we got people that talk about rap, the rap scene, rock, the everything, the lolos. Yeah, but nobody has ever talked about the. But to us, what was EDM, right? EDM for us was like everything included, but now the kids, they're more like it's just one. You know what I'm talking about. But I want to talk about music part 2. Yeah. I'm excited, and I had 3 coffees already, so I'm jumping.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, this is something that, like, myself, Flashback, Lenny, and Shaggy, and we always say, like, sometimes the history is a little it's a little blurred, and things we're kind of like, yo, man, it didn't go down that way.
Yeah.
So I mean, like Shaggy and Lenny, like, my partners from Jungle Boogie, we still talk every day. Me and Flashback, we still talk and shit. Like, I still talk to Orlando and all these people like that. So, those are all my big bros right there. But even on the hip hop side, DJ Aladdin, that's my mentor right there.
Oh, dope.
So I mean, there's so much that you could, there's so much that you can ask or whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of rich DJ history right there in places like Southgate, Linwood, Compton. I mean, you got everybody from Dr. Dre to Julio G, to what's his name from Slayer that was doing all the high energy stuff. The drummer. There's just so much history in just that little area. So
dope.
Like, that was one of the main outlets during that time to really do as a kid. You were either trying to play baseball or DJing or just straight getting into trouble. But whatever you were doing you were doing it to the fullest. There you go. So,
man, we got to do part 2 for sure.
Yes, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, man, we got DJ Gargamel in the house. I'm displaying the Instagram. Go ahead, take it away, Carla.
No, I just want to say thank you once again. I'm really, really happy that you're on, and I know we still have a lot more things to cover. But like we said earlier, our time is very limited, unfortunately, today. But we will definitely get you back on soon.
Man, we have to.
Yes.
Thank you, brother.
Let's do it. Much love, everybody.
Much love to you as well.
Man. You have a good one, man.
Oh, and before he goes, make sure you guys check him out and see Let the Streets Speak live on Instagram.
Yeah.
Besos.
Yeah. Let the streets speak.
Ooh.
Besos. Mwah.
Mwah. Bye.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Hasta luego.
Man.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego, amigo. Gracias.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Took me back in time, man. We got to do part 2. We got to do part 2 with the brother and everything.
Definitely. I'm messaging Ari right now.
All right, man. I hope you guys are having fun, man. I hope you guys are having a good one. I'm having a blast over here. I mean, it's just Gargamel took me back in time, and he's naming a lot of parties, DJs, songs from back in the 90s, and he just gave us a little taste of history right there, man.